So welcome, Nick. Welcome. I'm glad to have you with me right now. You're my third. How do you say this? The third person I've invited to my. How can you call this? Podcast, videocast? How would you
There
name
you
this?
go.
Podcast?
Video cast. Yeah.
Yeah,
Podcast is
great.
all. Probably not
Let,
that. Yeah.
let's call it podcast. Everyone
There you
calls it
go.
like that. Yeah. So you're a powerlifter, a copywriter, and an expert Twitter user. We've been following us for each other on Twitter for the last, how much? 3 months?
Yeah,
More
I
or
think so.
less, 2 or 3 months.
hmm Yeah.
Ye- Yeah, and it's been quite a ride for the last, for this time. It's amazing how powerful we've made our Twitter accounts. Would you like to talk
Yeah.
about that? Tell me about that. How,
Yeah. I
how, how
mean,
did you manage to grow your Twitter account?
so a lot of my growth really came from consistency. I mean, I was one of those guys that I had like 500 followers forever. It felt like, and then
Without,
I remember whenever I hit 1100, just
uh-huh.
from putting in the work, really, that was whenever I just doubled. It just seemed. I mean, it was about 1 month, and I really doubled. So it was. I mean, everything for me was making personal connections in the DMs. I mean,
Uh-huh.
that's what everybody sees it, but nobody does it. I feel like so.
Yeah. What you said, it's very important. You need to put the work in order to make not only Twitter account grow, but also your life, your wealth, your relationships, and and your knowledge.
Yeah.
So talking about knowledge, you're a copywriter.
Mhm.
You've been copywriting for the last 5, 6, 7 years. How did you land in the copywriting world?
Well, for me, it really started more like in the content realm.
Mm-hmm.
So, blogging, writing emails for companies. I was always the guy that everybody would give that project to. I mean, I've written for general aviation,
Uh-huh.
airplane to fitness to, everything. I mean, I've written in numerous different niches before. So,
Uh-huh.
and it wasn't until the last couple of years that I really got into direct response stuff. So that's
Okay.
whenever I realized, you know, I could make money with this
Yeah.
and I could start really focusing on the things I like, which is converting clients to paying clients, not just
Okay.
writing fluffy blog posts that make people feel good. I didn't really like
Okay.
that.
Okay. So we're talking about some technical stuff right now from the copywriting world. Would you mind
Yeah.
expanding a little bit of uh, what you just talked about, like the terms, especially the
Yeah.
terms for the youngsters?
So direct response is more, think old school. You get a postcard in the mail
Uh-huh.
and, they're selling you something. So it's an ad. And then, content writers are a different kind of copywriter. They get
Mm-hmm.
paid to write a blog post for a company. They don't necessarily invite you to do anything. They're not trying to make you buy something. They're just filling content.
Yeah.
So for me, that's the stuff I don't like to do. I don't even have a
Okay.
blog. The closest thing I'd have to a blog is copying and pasting my emails to a blog post, but I'm
Okay.
all direct response now. So
Okay.
yeah, I stumbled, once I started finding guys, Ben Settle, Gary Halbert, Gene Schwartz, those guys were the legends that really got me into it. And,
Mm-hmm.
they had this style and flair that just was so cool to me, the way that they wrote things. And it really
Yeah.
opened my eyes to how you can do it. So,
Yeah, it's amazing. I had to unsubscribe from Ben Settle's email list because you just want to buy everything that guy
oh,
sends
yeah.
you. You need
Yeah.
you need to save up your money. If you if you
hmm
if you keep reading Ben's emails, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You're going to spend all your money. Would
Yeah.
you agree with
He's
that?
by far he's by far the guy I modeled. I mean, my entire business model is based off what he does. I mean, I get people to opt into my email
Uh-huh.
list and then I sell them to an info product, which is my newsletter. I do
Yeah.
mine digitally. He does his physically, but
Uh-huh.
same idea really. So yeah,
So the direct response, I want to talk expand more about that
yeah,
because you said before that it's old school, but
hmm
now we're talking about the digital part. Ben
yeah,
sends it directly to your house, like a physical paper, then settled. And on the other hand, you send it directly to my email. I read most of your emails. They're top notch, my friend. Congrats.
Thank
So
you.
how does both worlds merge in your
Mhm.
life?
Yeah. So, if I logistically someday, I mean, I may send a physical newsletter. I like it. I like the kind of nostalgic and
It's
the way
personal.
Ben describes it. I mean, he
Mhm.
does what the people aren't doing. Everybody's sending a PDF now. So Ben
Yeah,
sends a physical mail.
yeah.
And I think he's a bit nostalgic too. I mean, he likes the old school guys, and that's how they do it.
Okay.
So for me, that was kind of maybe logistically someday I'll get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
But the big thing that it allows the guys that do it with a physical newsletter, they include upsells in it.
Okay.
So you may pay $50, $100 a month, but they're going to throw in a $3,000 or $4,000 upsell in that package. So I mean,
Not
you take
bad.
yeah. So I mean, you consider these guys. I mean, they're going to turn a $100 subscriber. If they get
Uh-huh.
one person off the whole list to buy it, I mean, they just 50 times their revenue right there off one guy.
Yeah, they did.
So that's an interesting thing. Like Doberman Dan, he's another one that I subscribe to. His is
Mm-hmm.
$100 a month, so it's not a cheap newsletter by any means, but I mean, his upsell is it's like $2,000-$3,000 for his upsell,
Wow.
and that's just the most recent one I got off the top of my head. So yeah,
Isn't it
that's
isn't it
very
amazing?
physical.
To me, it's like amazing that just selling knowledge is it's a whole new market right now. It's not like 10, 20, 30 years ago that we had so many restrictions in order to jumpstart our businesses. Right now, we're like in
Yeah,
a golden age of not only making money, but helping people out with social media. You have a really great Twitter feed and and a great email. I can just imagine the amount of praise and thank you emails you receive. How do you feel when you receive those?
I mean, it's gratifying. Everybody's got a little ego in there somewhere. So
Yeah.
it's cool for me to. I mean, I write specifically for the health and wellness niche based
Mm-hmm.
on my background. So I've been
You're
in
a
it for.
power lifter.
Yeah, I've competed in powerlifting. I've been personal trainer, was how I got started in it. Owned my
Uh-huh.
own health and wellness facility, and then just worked my way up through that. But
Okay.
it's what I know best, so it's easiest for me to write to. It's kind of what I tell guys. I mean, you may not love what you write about in the beginning, but
Uh-huh.
you can crank out emails in 10 or 15 minutes and not have to research so much. It's much more effective for a lot of people.
Yeah, I've
That's kind of what I
recently started sending emails because of that. It's easier to write email because it's just one topic, and then just if you want, just paste a link to one of your products down below the email, either before the goodbye or after in a PS. Wow,
Yeah, and
man.
I always tell people it's the best ones, like Ben Shuttle, for instance. I mean, he's always
Uh-huh.
so thorough at the transition. He could take a story, transition it into a little copywriting lesson, and then sell you the
Yes.
product. Yeah, so he always talks about giving them what, but not how. So that's what I try to do in my emails. That's how he gets. Like you're
Yeah, I
saying, you want to buy
noticed
the
that.
product because he leaves you hanging. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
I know what to do, but you didn't tell me how to do it. Well, you got to stick to that.
Yeah, but I've noticed that you combine in your emails the how and the what.
Yeah,
And then you just down below you just like make people curious and click here.
yeah, yeah, and it's sometimes it's getting them 90% of the way there.
Uh-huh.
So I can tell you, for instance, last month you saw how I was pitching how to write a sales page. That was the topic of the Copy Kings newsletter. So I would say something, here's how I write bullets,
Yeah.
and I've got a specific method, two different ways that I've learned, which mine were from John Carlton, is who
Mm-hmm.
I learned my bullet writing skill from. And, to get those two skills, though, I'll give you the whole breakdown in the newsletter. I may just throw in one or two sentences in my emails, but if
Yeah.
you want 3 pages how to really do this, then that's where you buy the newsletter.
Yeah, and that thing let's define the bullet points for the new guys here in the copywriting world. How would you define that?
So, so bullet points are the little, it's honestly
Just
one of the most
a
common things
list.
people do wrong. Gotcha. That a lot of people do wrong. They just put it with features. They'd say, you have a 25-page ebook. Well, that doesn't really, I don't care that I get a 25-page ebook. So that's kind of where you would want to say a 25-page guide to where you won't have any questions after reading this. You won't have to look elsewhere. That's the benefit to the reader. That's the big difference. So bullets are just a repeated version of that. You're giving them benefit, 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 benefit. And then, people always ask short versus long copy. That's always a big debate. Why would I write 20 pages?
I like
and
long
that's
copy.
where, and people are like, well, no one's going to read that. But they might read that one bullet that gets them and then go straight to buy now. I would rather have more than enough than not enough.
So how would you say that you structure your copy? Like the headline, then the subline, then bullets, then features, then bullets again? Do you suggest like adding bullets all over the place, or just put it in one place?
It's kind of your own style, but there's typically, you always have a headline, which is your best bullet. That's what a lot of people don't realize. So if I've got a bullet that I know is going to convert, I need to put it as my headline. And then, a subheading, debatable, but, typically you have one. And then the biggest part that a lot of people don't talk about is the lead. So I've talked with you about that before, the lead being like if then. That's one that I use a lot.
Yeah,
if you're an aspiring copywriter, like if you're an aspiring copywriter that's totally clueless, then you'll find this email very valuable. That's an easy way to do it. And it's just a formula that people can use, and then after the lead, I like a good story, so if I have a story that I can tell from either my client's perspective or mine, I transition to that. And then the story is where the reader relates, and you also kind of turn off the this is an ad in their brain. Their brain's like, oh, gross. This is an ad. This is an ad. I don't want to read this. And so the story really helps with that. Like Gary Halbert had a big one. It's like Betty's diet book or something like that. He wrote the ad from this lady's perspective named Betty. And, the first thing he says as his lead is, it's something like, I'm not a doctor. I'm not an expert. I'm not a, nutritionist, whatever. Over and over, he lists this. She's like, I'm just Betty, basically. So all these overweight women relate to her. They're like, oh, I'll listen to her. She's someone like me. So that's how Gary Halbert drew him. Big hook.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
I noticed that in many copy.
Yeah, so that's where you would, then use your bullets as proof points. That's kind of what, you build interest and then you prove it. That's the big thing that, people that just throw out the affiliate emails, they never prove it. They're just like, hey, buy my product. And you're like, no,
what?
I'm going to buy it. Exactly. Yeah. So, but like, Ben Settle, he'll load his PS at the very end with 30 bullets. I kind of like that. It's like someone might be interested. This might tip them over the edge. At the very end, he throws in just killer bullets and it could convert somebody, so.
Yeah. So he just fills his emails with bullets, with bullet points.
I had an example in last month, David Ogilvy, he had a Rolls Royce ad. It was a headline, a lead, and then all the bullets. That was it.
Okay.
Rolls Royce, however much back then, $150,000, $200,000 car, just bullets. That's all. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So there's something to do it.
So just now you talked about stories, and the stories are what make people forget that what they are reading is just an ad.
Yeah.
Okay. I've seen many copywriters or new copywriters not adding the stories in their copy. Hearing you talking about stories, I would say that that's a big error from their part, not adding the stories. So,
and some of them, it depends how warm their lead is. back to Ben Settle again. You look at his email players landing page, it's like one paragraph because his email, the email itself has already warmed that lead. By the time they get to the landing page, he doesn't have to sell them anymore. So it could be that, but some people, the old school ads, they were cold reads most of the time. So, maybe they didn't use a story, but most of the time they would, they'd have something to break up the ad. So,
so how would you write a story from, for example, an everyday experience? I just ate a banana, and then how would you write something like that?
I mean, it's tough. I mean, honestly, that was the hardest thing. I mean, I've written stories. You'd be amazed, like, once you get writing, what you can actually write about. I mean, I've written about going to eat barbecue. I mean, seemingly insignificant stuff that can be turned into a story somehow. But, I mean, as far as client work goes, it's on the copywriter to extract that story. I mean, I had a guy that I wrote an ad for a guitar sales course. And, he came up with the story like 3 weeks later, just so happened to mention to me in passing. He's like, oh, yeah. He's like, one time I was, backstage with all these guitar legends. And he's like, that's pretty much how I created this whole course. I'm like, oh, well, you could have told me that like 3 weeks ago. Sometimes it's
clients.
Story.
Yeah, we love them, we hate them, but we definitely need them.
I was like, wow, that's an amazing story. And I mean, his story turned into my whole hook for the whole ad. I mean, it was what made the whole ad. I rewrote the whole thing. I'm like, wow, this is incredible.
See, this is something I've been battling with. And it's something I guess many other people may be battling. And it's just the thing about ethics. It's so easy to make people feel stuff on Twitter and on emails. And when you make people feel, you own them. You own their brain. And you can most certainly make them do stuff that they just weren't prepared to do. Yeah. So in your fingertips, when you write, you're writing magic. How do you manage that power? You have right now over 2K followers on Twitter. I can just imagine that you have a lot of people in your email. They read it. So you have power over them. How do you manage that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just personal ethics, I mean, that's the thing. Like I could never even fathom screwing somebody over or, lying about my stories or anything like that with my followers. I mean, it was recently I've been focusing on talking about like email and growing your list. And I mean, Ken McCarthy said he had this cool story every week. I don't know if he did it on Sunday or Friday or whatever. He had a physical list of his list, physical paper of his list of clients, or not clients, but prospects and everything. He took it to a safety deposit box at the bank every single week, just to, one, protect it, and two, remind himself that's the most important asset that he has is his list. So from an ethics side of thing, I mean, I think in the long run, karma and everything will catch up. Those people get exposed. I mean, we've seen those guys on Twitter. They've been around 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 followers, and they're gone. And you're like, what the hell,
What happened?
And a lot of it, they get weeded out. It's like people catch up to them. They start getting called out, and they're not the person that everybody thinks they were. So, yeah, those people, they don't stick around long, from what I've realized.
Yeah, because scammers, as you said, they just get demolished by the mob.
Yeah,
and they deserve it.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, there's no point for it. I mean, in the long term, it's a long-term game. I mean, not many are going to get rich very quick doing this kind of stuff. So, I play for the long-term game.
Let's dive in a little bit more within the ethics, because I, for example, try to manage my Twitter account and my emails without too much polarization, because it's a slippery slope into falling into doing stuff you're not supposed to be doing and making people feel stuff that they shouldn't be feeling. Yeah. So let's dig in there. How do you manage the part with urgency. You know,
Mm-hmm.
urgency is such a powerful asset. And if you add urgency with scarcity, meaning making people feel they need to buy now because there's almost no unit left to buy, how do you use those two big powerful persuasion weapon in an ethical way?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's yeah. I mean, we see people do that. Last day's tomorrow. Oh, I'm gonna extend it. And it's like,
Yeah, we've seen it.
yeah. So, I mean, I don't personally do that. Like, I set a deadline on all of my newsletters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've had people like 2 hours late after the deadline. Sure, I mean, I'll throw in one guy or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
if they come back 2 days later and like, hey, can I get last month? No, it's not fair to
Sorry.
the people that were there. And I mean, I can even see like, hey, you opened 3/4 of my emails last month and you didn't buy it. So I sell the same thing all month. It's coming. The deadline. Sorry. So I mean, and that's part of it though. They learn the lesson that, I don't want people to think, oh, he'll probably just open it again, or he's probably lying. He just says that, and then that's whenever people start calling you on your bullshit, and it doesn't work
Yeah,
out. So
because
for
everybody
me,
just does
I don't do
that.
that. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
don't. I mean, the ones that open this course is open one time, or the price is going to drop, or price is going to double, and it never does. And then it's like, good Lord, I can't keep it straight half the time.
Yeah,
So
and
I
it's
don't
so
do
simple
that.
to use that.
Yeah, I don't discount my list. I don't.
Uh-huh.
I don't like that either. Because if I'm the guy that pays $50 a month, and then he goes and sells it for $25, well, I just got screwed out of 2 months worth of
Mhm.
you know the newsletter. So I
So
don't like
you're
that.
against like lowering price just for the sake of lowering the price, discounts and stuff.
I'm not a huge fan of it for two reasons. Because
Tell me.
people have paid good money, one, to get on your list, and
Mm-hmm.
two, I think it cheapens it. If I can charge you, like my list, for instance, they pay $50 a month to become a newsletter subscriber. Why would I charge you $20 one month? Because then to
Mm-hmm.
that person, it's only worth $20.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to go back up to 50 next month and hope they stick around. It doesn't make sense. I
Okay.
mean, the courses are a little bit different. Um, you know, I get whenever they're first trying to get people to buy it at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
it's $99 and it's going to double.
Okay.
But once again, it's the old school copywriting thing of why. If I'm going to tell you something, I have to prove it. Why is
Okay.
this course $100 today and it's going to be $300 on Sunday? That doesn't make
Okay.
any sense half the time.
Okay. Okay. So
You know, and
check.
I
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Keep telling. Okay.
I was
This
just
is a
going to say,
question.
I'm not big on freebies either. That's my other, like, I don't give away free stuff. I don't, my free knowledge I give out is limited. It's not fair to the people that pay me for it. That's the thing. The Copy King subscribers get direct email access to me. They can send
Mm-hmm.
me, their copy that they're practicing and they're writing for clients. I critique it. I don't do that for other people. So
Okay. Okay.
big
So
thing.
let's make a distinctions with free
Mhm.
stuff and bonus, because
Mhm.
in the copywriting world, you can do so much giving people bonuses on top
Yeah.
of your offer. And a
Yeah.
bonus is just a freebie. So how do you distinguish both?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of subjective, really. I mean, like, I was talking maybe with you and some others about that. I mean, Ben Settle's bonuses are almost better than most of his other stuff, but than the actual product. Now, I just bought his villains book for
Uh-huh.
$5. I
Yeah.
mean, I breezed through it. It doesn't. I mean, I wasn't even that into the book, honestly.
Uh-huh.
It's more about male psychology and influence. I mean, it's just not my thing. He gave 30 videos on copywriting and marketing away with that as the bonus. 30 videos. I mean, I
Wow.
paid $5 for 30 videos. Yeah. I mean, that's why I bought it. I didn't want the book. And the
You
videos
wanted the
are
videos.
incredible. Yeah. I mean, seriously, he's known for that. I mean,
Did he
he
upsell in
just
the
sells.
videos?
No, I
No?
mean, it's pretty funny. He's just walking down. He goes on a walk every day, and he just pulled out his phone and recorded
Uh-huh.
himself talking. But I
Okay.
mean, the guy's such a wealth of knowledge. It's just pure gold. So it's
Wow.
crazy.
Wow.
But yeah, I don't really, I don't really have an answer for you on that one. I mean, there's not a distinction to me.
Mhm.
I mean, there's just a thin line there because I think people try to include a bonus.
Uh-huh.
And like if I wrote you 20 bullets about a bonus and then I give you a 2-page sheet and called it
Mm-hmm.
the bonus, you'd
Mm-hmm.
be a little let down. So that's the
Yeah.
thin line that I'm referring to. So I think
Yeah.
as long as people are selling it, but bonuses can be easy to add to a product. That's something I think a lot of people miss. Like some of the best bloggers, for instance, they have an opt-in to where it's a checklist or a PDF on every single blog post. They'll tell
Okay.
you something. You're kind of like your head's spinning, and they're like, "Oh, but hey, here's this easy checklist to figure out how to do it yourself. Just give me your email and you download it." So,
Mm-hmm.
those little bonuses can be done outside of actual product sales too, and I think that's huge for people that are doing content writing because
Yeah.
you can
I agree.
checklist or PDF, very quickly. And like someone like you can make it look really good too, with your graphic skills. So
Mm-hmm.
those are huge. I think it's an underutilized thing for anybody with a blog. I mean, every single blog post, I think you can slap a little checklist or something on there that people will download. So,
You just gave me an idea because I've just been selling my email list, a ton
hmm
of content of how to do stuff and how to do it and what to do, and then I just flip the script and here buy my book.
yeah,
Not like that, but at least in my mind it feels like that. I think I need a bit to work a little bit on my what's the technical name? Making it like seamless.
oh,
The
I mean, I call it like you're transitioning,
Yeah, the transitioning.
going,
Yeah.
going from a story to a lesson to a sale.
Hmm.
That's kind of that's what took me the longest to learn. I mean,
Yeah,
my emails
it's
at first were like, "Hey, here's a story about my dog, and here's how to write bullets, and do you want my product?"
mhm.
It's like that didn't really
So
work well.
that's how I feel right now with my emails because I'm new to the email marketing. I've been reading a lot about that, but
Yeah,
I need that transitioning to be flawless. Now, when
yeah,
people read that, they just say, "Oh, that feels nice," and not just, "Oh, this guy is always selling in every and each one of his emails." Let's
yeah.
talk about that. Let's talk about that because we've seen it on Twitter. The
Mm.
big marketeers talking about you must sell in every every email you send. How do you approach that? Do you sell in every email you send, or how does that work in your life?
I'm under the belief I agree with them. If I'm gonna take the time to write you something,
Uh
I'm
huh.
gonna study something as your payment you get sold to. So in
Okay.
order for you to be on my list, that's kind of our agreement.
Okay.
I'm upfront about it, and I like the tactic because like I call them freebie vampires. They come on my list. They want free information. They're never going to buy a product from me. If it was $2, they still wouldn't buy it. So they are on my list. They send me DMs. They send me emails. They want my information. They ask me questions all the time. They want my time all the time. And so that's kind of where I'm not in that school of thought. It's kind of like content writing to me at that point.
Uh huh.
I don't like, so I'm gonna sell you something in every single email. Right now it's always my newsletter, so that's
Mhm.
the big
Mhm.
thing. So like, this month, for instance, we are gonna do the theme is email marketing. So all the Copy King subscribers at the end of the month, they'll get A to Z how I run my entire email marketing system. So from the
You
server I
just made a
use
client right now, man.
So from the server I use, like I use ConvertKit, how I set it up, how I write my emails, how I write my stories, pretty much everything we just talked about. So, that's kind of where, and it's a gradual process that
Uh
people,
huh.
I mean, I look back at my old emails and I cringe. I mean, with you just getting into it, you're going to be the same way. I mean, I was looking, I think I sent 34,000 emails this year, is what it
Uh-huh.
said. I mean, it's
30.
insane. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
that's, and they count every single person that
Yeah,
receives
yeah.
it. So,
So,
but I've not missed a day. So,
is there like an email that you say, I remember when I wrote that, it sucked. Is there one that
I just don't
stand
look at.
out within the crowd?
I don't think so. I mean, I just don't even look at them, honestly. I mean, if I go back to like
Uh-huh.
January of last year when I first started all this, I mean,
Uh-huh.
I was clueless. You know, I was,
Every time I'm subscribed to my own list in my other
yeah.
email, and when I get it, I just say, I don't want to read this. I just find
Uh,
something wrong, and I usually
oh yeah.
find something wrong. I hate
Yeah.
that about
Everybody's
sending
always there.
emails to myself.
We're all our harshest critics, I think. So it's tough, but no, I mean, you just got to remember that even having the balls to send an email puts you on a
Oh,
pedestal to everybody else. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I guess you probably remember the first one you sent. I mean, you're like, oh God, I'm
Panics.
actually doing.
Oh, I don't want to
Yeah,
send this.
yeah. I mean, I always tell everybody that's like, oh, I don't want to start one. I wrote to the same guy for 10 days whenever I first started. I have one guy on my list,
Uh-huh.
and I remember
Wow.
put out the
Did he
link,
buy? Did he
and
buy?
no, I
Oh
don't.
man, that's
But I
if that
remember,
book
I mean,
would be a great story.
yeah. And I remember I put out the link and like day one,
Uh,
he signed up. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I got to write emails now. And, you know, and it was funny because, I mean, he had no idea, but I was one guy on my list for like 10 days. And I wrote to that guy every single day. And
and now it's
yeah,
different.
I think he's still on my
Progress.
list like a year and a half later. Yeah.
So this is funny. This is funny because what you just said about people just panicking uh, before sending their first email or whatever, it's what I guess from my intuition. What's difference winners and people who just stay stagnated.
Yeah.
They so much potential out there, but people are just afraid of what will they say? What will my family think? What will
Yeah.
my boss? He'll receive it one day. What will my friends say? And
Mhm.
they don't want to receive that pressure. And most time it's just in their mind.
Yeah.
I've
I mean, I
I've
tell everybody, it's a big theme in fitness too. Like we get people that are afraid of the gym. They don't want to go embarrass themselves, look like an idiot. And I tell everybody,
yeah.
no one, no one is really paying attention to you. No one cares about you as much as you think. You know, I mean, it sounds narcissistic, but I mean, really, nobody gives a shit. It's when you're at the gym, you trip and fall. Everybody's like, oh, I remember the first time I tripped and fell at the gym. Who cares? It's a
Nobody
huge deal
helped
to
you.
you.
Just keep lift.
I mean, people do not care as much as people think. So, I mean, I remember I didn't tell my friends whenever I started all this. I didn't want them
Uh-huh.
to read my emails and all that. And,
Uh,
you know, now I tell them about how 10, 20 times my annual raise in a year, every
oh
single
wow.
money. And they're
I
like,
want
oh,
that. I want that. Let me rub with you to see if I get some of that great copywriting luck.
yeah. They're like,
Hey,
what's that? What's it called?
yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about your copy kings because
Okay.
I want the people who will see this conversation to
Mhm.
know the difference between your free email list and your paid premium email list. What's the
Yep.
difference? What will I get for those at this moment? $50 per month. Hopefully, you just raise the price later after I subscribe, of course. But
Yeah.
what's the difference between both email lists?
Uh, what I found with people is with courses, this is kind
Uh-huh.
of the anti-course thing. So just like Ben Settle, everybody's pushing a course right now. So I went the opposite way.
Yeah.
I started a newsletter. Yeah. And so I went with the newsletter as my option and my paid option. It
Mhm.
was, the big thing for me was kind of drip feeding my list. That was what
Uh-huh.
it was. So instead of one giant high write copywriting course, I'm breaking it up into numerous lessons that they can absorb a little bit at a time.
Okay.
So like they build on each other. Like I had recently we did one on story selling, which is
Hmm.
what I call story. I just put the selling spin on it.
Okay.
Then after that, we went to how to write a sales page.
Mm-hmm.
Within that, they could apply their story selling lessons in the sales page.
Okay.
This coming month, we're going to do the same thing with email. So they
Mm-hmm.
can apply stories to the sales page and then emails and how to
Mm-hmm.
make money with it. That's the big thing for these guys. I'm going to teach them how to sell an info product like I do.
Oh,
So,
nice.
that's kind of what the difference with the list is, it's exactly how to do it. It's more step by step. This is what I did. This is what didn't work for me. It's
Okay.
not as complicated. It's the nuts and bolts of it, really.
Okay. That you don't send that content to your free email list.
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, that's the big difference. I tell you what we're going to talk about in the newsletter on my email.
Uh-huh.
We give you here's a bullet writing tip, but then I give you 6 pages on how to write bullets. That's the big difference. Here's
Okay.
formulas. Here's copy and paste. Here's ads that you can swipe that I found useful. All that stuff is what I send the copy kings.
Yeah, and I like that you just said formula because
Mm.
people when they start doing anything, they just think that the person who is the expert just has the ability to do that like from
Yeah.
a God-given gift. And the thing
Yeah.
is that almost every knowledge there is can be broken down into like small formulas.
Yeah.
Small formulas. And copywriting, I guess, works the same.
It's huge. I mean, I'd say it's bigger than most. I mean, I tell everyone copywriting isn't necessarily creativity, it's construction.
Mm-hmm.
The ads, like I could read an ad about dog food and I'm not looking at the words that Gary Halbert used to sell dog food. I'm looking at the way he
Okay.
built it. Where did he use his lead? Where did he bring in bullets? Where did he use his proof points? How did he close the ad? How did he add a PS? Those are the things I'm looking at when I analyze an ad. Everybody else is reading about dog food. They don't understand. And that's
Yeah.
where, Gary Halbert or somebody that's a legend at copywriting, they knew how to make the ad not be an ad in the reader's mind. So, deconstructing it from a copywriting standpoint is how you figure it out. You can reverse
Mm-hmm.
engineer the ad and see how they laid it out.
Yeah, and you
And
do
it's the same thing with
that
email.
okay, okay. So you do
You know,
that
I
and send it to your list.
Yeah, I mean, I've done, I'll do that for their copy.
Okay.
That's something I'll do. Like I just had a subscriber that was selling storm damage replacement, and he
What?
was
What is
help
that?
like or not storm damage replacement, but like shingle damage and that after a storm. So he was writing
Uh-huh.
an ad for it. I don't know how he got involved with it, but he's a graduate. So I think he was taking what he gets, but I was helping
Uh-huh.
him out, and I mean for him it was features versus benefits. He was
Okay.
saying, we'll give you a home consultation for free, as opposed to, we'll come to you, no hassles, that kind of stuff is more of a benefit, not we'll just come to your house.
Yeah.
So, that's how you analyze an ad, deconstruct it that way.
Mhm. So, for example, if someone subscribes me today to your Copy Kings, is that
Mm-hmm.
like is that the name Copy Kings of the paid course or the paid email list?
Yeah, copy kings.
If someone subscribes today, will they have access to the previous emails?
Not yet. No, the $50 is pretty much one time a month. So,
Okay.
current newsletter. What I'd like to do is transition to some kind of digital library eventually, do some
Mm-hmm.
interviews with copywriters, store them online, make kind of an exclusive login. But
Mm-hmm.
no, I've just kept it simple right now. It's a PDF that they get every week, and when it's gone, it's gone. So that's kind of
Okay.
the benefit. Being a Copy King subscriber is that you've got something that only a few of my list get. So
Mm.
there's a small segment of the list that gets it. It's a little exclusive for them.
Oh, great, great. So at the moment, you send one email per week to that list.
No, per month.
Ah, one
So
email
it's
per
a
month,
monthly
but
PDF.
with
Yeah.
a big PDF, like actionable 100% advice.
Yes. Like
Oh,
last month's was 25 pages on how to write every single piece of it at the sales page.
wow.
Yeah.
You can sell that on Gumroad.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
need to get
but
on.
hey, you should. Gumroad,
Yeah.
man, it's an amazing, amazing platform. I got in touch with with the CEO. He kindly responded to my DM, and
Yeah.
I have an interview with him, like more or less what we're doing right now. I guess on
Mm.
Friday, this Friday the whatever, 6 days from now,
Yeah.
and that I sense that when a guy like that, or for example like yourself, takes time out to do an interview with someone they barely know or don't even know
Hmm.
in person, it's such a humbling thing. I wanted to
Yeah.
thank you for that, man, because you said like yes instantly. You didn't like, I can't. You just said yes, and that's good for me. And
Yeah.
thank
I
you
was
for that,
glad to
man.
have, glad to be invited.
Yeah, and you see, Mira, I wanted to talk about one more thing. One more thing.
Hmm.
To those 20-year-old guys that are just hungry, thirsty for money, for women, for whatever, the 20-year-old man, what would you say to him about your career and about how to live your life in an ethical manner with your career?
Yeah. I mean, I think copywriting has a unique, it's a unique area for people because I mean, I started with a free MailChimp email list and I started with Twitter. That's it, all free. I mean, it only took my time. I've always had a 9 to 5 job, and so I did this in the part time, and now I get paid well over what I got for my annual raise every single month. So I mean, I was pissed off whenever I got my annual raise. It was a slap in the face. I did something about it. These guys are in college. I mean, we know guys that are 19, 20 years old. And I mean, we both said that, like, man, what if I would have started whenever I was 19? I mean, 10
Yeah,
years,
I just wish
10,
that.
yeah. I mean, I did what I just referred to just in the past 6 months. I've had that much of an increase to where, I mean, it's just amazing. So I mean, copywriting entry level is just such an easy way to get going. I mean, I've written a thread on how to create a product in one weekend.
Hmm.
You can write like info product PDF, just like I sell on the Copy Kings. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything extensive like I write. You could write, 10 pages or an ebook like you talk about all the time. That's something you could do in a couple of days if you really sit down and knock it out.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and people are paying you to be a knowledge curator. You don't have to be an expert yet. That's the big thing. I mean, everything I talk about, it's from somebody else. I mean, I'm not inventing this stuff. I mean, these lessons have been around for decades from
decades.
copywriters. And, I'm reiterating it, putting my own spin on it. I'm not coming up with anything original. I'll be the first one to tell everybody that. That's the big thing with it. And once for the young guys to get over that mentality that you have to be an expert, that's the biggest thing
Hmm.
for them.
Yeah.
It's just completely false. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, I don't think I pay any experts to give me knowledge. So I don't consider any of them an expert at what they do. So that's the big thing.
Yeah, and as they have people they look towards to,
Yeah.
and people from and books and whatever that they just read and practice what they read. That's a big difference between winners and people that stagnate. They just read, nothing.
Yeah.
Winners
I
read,
was that guy.
implement, read, implement, read, implement. That's a big difference
Uh,
between. Uh-huh.
I was definitely that guy for a long time. I mean, I was always,
Me too.
yeah, I was like 1 or 2 books a week kind of guy. And I just like reading. I still read all the time, but I
Uh-huh.
never did anything with it. I mean, I was the
Yeah.
guy that would like brag about, I read 54 books this year. It's like, well, what'd you get out of it? I guess
Nothing.
nothing. Yeah.
Uh, I remember that
So,
time. I remember that time when I see, for example, our friend Andy. He's the
hmm
19-year-old guy that I know you were referring to him just right now, and we've told
yeah.
him that guy is 19 years old, and it's already making a name for himself
Oh,
on
yeah.
copywriting,
Great.
freelancing. He has his course. He has people learning from him at 19 years.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
believe that?
Yeah. And I
To me,
mean,
that's
that's what
mind
I
blowing.
tell my younger subscribers is,
Uh-huh.
if you know if you're one step ahead of somebody, you're the expert in the conversation, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know, people think they'll call me a copywriting expert, and I'm the furthest thing from that, but I know a little bit more than them. And, you know, I got 2,000 followers, which is nothing in our corner, but people think that, you know, they think it's a huge deal, and they think that I'm an expert, and I'm like, no, I'm not, but I do know more than they do. So I help them, you know, but other than that, no, you don't have to be
Well,
an expert.
the thing is that when you have 100 or 500 followers, that 1,000 and 2,000 seems
Oh yeah.
so far.
Oh,
Well,
I know. I remember.
yeah, yeah. I started out with 400 because here in Dominican Republic, my friends and stuff, I was a
Yeah.
musician, so people follow me for the music. I don't sing. My brother sings. I just play the bass. That
Mhm.
white space, the bass was there, but I gave it to a friend for repairing. So I lost the train of thought, but uh,
Well, you were
forget
just
it.
saying how you started with some followers, and then it really
Oh
took
yeah,
you.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
was like when I saw these people with 1,000 followers, I just
Yeah.
said, "Oh my God, I wish I were there." And
Yeah.
now I'm way past that, and I see the 50,000 followers people and just say, "I'll reach that. I'll reach it."
Yeah.
No, it's different. It's different because
Hmm.
I now have the power and the followers that will retweet my stuff and will like my stuff and will effectively buy my stuff, and they do buy my stuff, which to me I wouldn't even dream about that before because it's just
Yeah. Yeah.
so far away. People pay me for my knowledge, for my broken knowledge and my crippled English. Man, that's the best feeling ever. Would you agree with
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. It's cool. I mean, I tell everybody that you'll never forget your first PayPal deposit, or, you know,
Oh
Stripe
man, that was
transaction.
awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you
That
can
was
frame that
awesome.
sucker. Even if it's like $10, you're like, oh my God, somebody paid me. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember mine. I'm like, whoa, my first ever Coffee King subscriber. I'm like, all right, this is real
Yeah.
now. You
Yeah.
know,
I
cool.
need one
I mean,
of
I remember,
those. I need some subscriber like that, like recurring.
yeah. No, it's
Maybe
a
we
huge
could
deal. Yeah. I mean,
maybe we could talk
I've,
about that outside of this.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Just
I've got enough subscribers now to where it's, you know, equivalent to a retainer that I've got with my other clients. So
I need one of
it's a
those.
cool thing. Yeah,
We should talk about that after this
yeah.
podcast.
Private,
And
private talk.
maybe we just talk about it later,
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, that's a bullet point.
Yeah, make that a bullet.
So I want to end with two questions.
Okay.
The first question, the sour one. Which one thing would you do differently if you had to start all over again with your career? One thing, or two.
I think we covered it. I would have started 15 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I would have given anything to, because I've seen what I did just this year.
Uh-huh.
Multiply that times 10. I don't even know where I'd be. It's crazy.
Man,
I mean,
I can just
it's not
imagine.
like
I'm 31,
it's not
you're
like I'm old.
29.
Yeah, it's not like we're
Yeah.
old by any means, but seeing guys like, you know, Andy, like you mentioned, started at
I got
19. Crazy.
Tane also 18. 18, man. He cannot even drink.
Yeah. I mean, I saw like a 15 or a 17-year-old the other day. I mean, they're probably everywhere. I just don't talk
Uh-huh.
to them, but it's crazy.
Yeah, I can just imagine. That's like one of my biggest regrets, not starting sooner.
Yeah.
With
I mean,
this,
that's
like online business, I mean.
yeah, yeah. I mean, everything else I've done in my career has led me to where I'm at, so I've learned from it. So I wouldn't take anything else back, you know.
Yeah. So, the big question. What one thing would you repeat over and over again? If you had to live life all over again 10 times, one thing that you would do over again.
Hmm. I think, you know, focusing on this digital marketing world is the big thing for me. I mean, I think, you know, you talk it. A lot of people mention how, like, in our corner of Twitter, it's the norm. You see guys with 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 60,000 followers. They're
Mm-hmm.
the Twitter, and they're all in our corner of the world, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of crazy that, you know, I would stick with this and ride it out. I'm pushing email this year, just
What do
because
you mean with that? Pushing email?
I'm on my subscribers. I'm telling everybody to get your own email list, start emailing.
Me too.
Because it's the only list you own. That's the thing. If I tell everybody, like I do a lot of work with Instagram fitness influencers. That's mainly who I write for on a client basis. And my question is always to get them to buy my email services.
Okay.
What if Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat were deleted tonight? These guys would be screwed. They have nothing. I mean, it's gone, and there's nothing they can do about it. They don't own that list. It's nothing they can do. So, I mean, email, you own that list. If they deleted all my social media right now, I have my list. It doesn't matter. I can say, hey, I'm on this platform now. Boom, email my list. Hey, I'm over here now. I'm on. It doesn't matter. So that's where email is just huge. And
it happened with Vine, for example. Vine got canceled just from.
I mean, look at MySpace. Everybody invested in that and built it. It's gone.
Justin Timberlake bought it, I guess. He bought it.
Yeah. I don't know. But I mean, nobody cares about it anymore. So, the same thing's going to happen over and over again. I'm sure Twitter will be old news someday, maybe Instagram, who knows? So, email's always been around. That's the thing, in the digital world at least. But it's the same, like I said, with Ken McCarthy. His list is the most valuable thing, Put it in the lockbox at the bank is what he used to do. It's the same thing with us, just digital.
It is. And thank God I started with my email list as soon as I got in Twitter. Like in our corner of Twitter, the Marketeer Twitter.
Yeah.
I started like from the first day just promoting my email list, and I wanted to end with this note to the people seeing us. Make your email list as soon as possible. You don't even have to send emails every day, one a week, one every 2 weeks, or one a month. It doesn't matter, but start promoting your email list. Not only because that's the money maker, not only that, but the way you interact with people through email, it's a personal. It's quasi-religious. It's different. It's like writing to a friend. And if you make it a habit of writing like daily or every 2 or 3 days, people will get enamored with you. They will love you. They will love you in a non-sexual way. Just like I love his content in that way.
Yeah.
And then they trust you, and then they buy, and then you change their life, and then they change other people's lives. So it replicates. It doesn't stay there. It begins to expand like a virus. So open your email list. Start sending those emails. Even if you think they suck, screw that. Do it. So, do you have any other message for the viewers, Nick?
I think we covered it. I agree with you on the email part. I tell something to keep in mind. I tell everybody, treat it like it's your daily talk show. Everyone on my list knows 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, mine goes out. And it happened while we were on the call here 8 minutes ago was when it went out. So, that's what I tell everybody. I was, just talking with a couple guys about that because they'll send an email at 9 a.m., 11 a.m., whenever they type it. Well, it doesn't work the best that way. You've got to own a time slot. Like for me, I'm one of the only guys I know that sends it at that time. I don't get any other emails at that time.
Yeah, most people send it in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a big thing is, I own that night time slot, and, it works well for me. So people tune in at that time, So that's a big thing I tell people is be consistent with your times.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll continue sending my emails at 12 p.m. I'm sending it at that time because people eat. Let me read Jose's email.
That's a good idea.
I'm going to start sending it every day at that time. Nick,
like your daily talk show at 12.
Yeah, I like those. Nick, thank you so much for accepting the invitation. We'll keep DMing, we'll keep talking, and maybe we'll even work together. Maybe.
All right.
Yeah. So until next time, my friend, and let's keep talking.
Okay. Thanks, Jose.
Bye.